I will step out. Manu, carry on.
Yeah, that is fine. Okay. So last time, let me show this. You able to see my screen? Hello.
Yes. It's
Okay.
visible.
So last time, if I remember, we covered till batch apex. So someone tried this trigger, future, and batch apex, any of these things. Someone tried writing any trigger with the handler class. Anyone face any problem? Someone tried to write a trigger. Okay, that is fine. Today, we will start with the scheduler part. So last week when we discussed, so some people were asking me, is it possible to schedule the batch or an Apex class? Yes, it's possible. So there are certain scenarios where you want your batch job or your data update to happen at a particular time. Data insertion, it could be data insert or anything, it could be deletion also, it could be. So how it's done? So for this in Salesforce we have this scheduler class. So just like in batch apex, it used to implement that interface database not batchable. So similarly for schedule classes we have schedulable interface. So let me show you. I created this one batch class. So sorry, this scheduler class. So what it's doing is it's getting me those opportunities whose closing date is today. So in case its closing date is today, it's going to create one task. Let us check it. Before, let me show you the class. So I created this class. Let me try to search it. This one is this utility that I'm using out at one code search. This you people can also use. Okay. So if you see, just as I was saying you, this is the scheduler class that I have created out. And it is implementing your schedulable interface. So in order to run my logic, so generally that is being done into this part. Execute is the method of this schedulable class. Inside that, I'm using this schedulable context. Like in batch class, it used to be the scope one we were using out, so similar to that. So now inside that, what I'm doing, I'm querying those opportunities whose closing date is equal to today and its close flag is equal to false. So in case it's equal to false, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this class task util. Inside that, I'm going to call remind of owners. So let us see what's written. Now, if in case I open this class, here if you see, we are just creating one task with activity date equal to today, subject equal to update opportunity, and description. That's it. So is this requirement clear? What it's about? So now what I want is, I want this schedulable to run at maybe 10 in the night or maybe 10 in the morning. So how can I do it? Now there are multiple ways by which I can schedule this class. One of the ways is I could do it through the UI also. What I mean by here UI is this thing. You write here Apex class. There you have this open schedule Apex. So this schedule Apex, what it will do, it will get you those classes which have been in that schedulable interface which it has. So now here I need to name the name of the job. I can write as So now here I need to select that class. So here if you see currently there are these two schedulable classes are there. So So I will select my this one. After that, what I want to do, when I want this class to be scheduled out. Do I want this class to be scheduled out weekly or monthly? And every week, how many days I want? I can select maybe alternative days. So now it will ask me when I want to start the schedule and when I want this to end. So now after that, it will ask me the preferred time. Now with this UI, what it will happen, it will allow you to schedule the classes only in 1 hour gap, if you see. Let me select 8 p.m. here and try. Now my class is scheduled. Now I want to check where it has been scheduled. So here just write the word schedule jobs. So you see this was the one which I scheduled it out. So when the next schedule is to be scheduled, that is 8 p.m. Sunday. So once this is run, after that next schedule will be for my Tuesday job. After two gaps that we figured out. So is this clear? How scheduling is done?
Clear.
From the UI.
Yes, Manu. You mean to say
Yeah.
that it is both code and no code?
Yeah. This time I did the scheduling without code, but I had my Apex class written into code. Now there is one more way also. I could schedule the card through Apex also. Why through Apex? Assume I want my job to run at not at 10 p.m. I want it to run at 10:30 p.m. How can I do it?
Customized time.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So for this, you have this syntax. Cron job. So once I finish my session, try to check about what this cron job is out, cron job details. So what it's about. I will show you how it's being scheduled out, but how you can delete it through code that I want you people to try. So now there are multiple ways I can delete it also. I can delete it through code also. I can delete it without code also. I want to delete this one. Okay. So this is the one now this one is this all you can check it out internet, because guys, I start explaining it will become very complicated. So now what I want my job to run every day at 10:30. This is my hours, this is my minutes, and this is my seconds. So now let us see. You see this one is scheduled for 10:30. So this is the main advantage. Now deletion here I can do it through UI also, through Apex code also. So for Apex code you need to get that cron job. So I want you people to write out that. So now this is fine. This one I wanted at 10:30 p.m. Now in case I want to test my code, whether it's working fine or not. Now there are multiple ways I can test it out. One of the way is in the anonymous window. I can. So in the anonymous window, I can call this code directly. Or way number 2 is, I could call this code directly. If you see this full code directly, I can call it out and create that opportunity. That is one of the way. Second way is, inside it execute, I can create one method inside it, something like this. And inside that I call my code. And then maybe something like this I can do. And then maybe what I can do, I can directly just for testing purpose, I can do it something like this. Let us remove it. Maybe it didn't get copied. Maybe you can call this method directly. Just for testing purpose, I could do it something like this also. I have this method and call it something. This one can comment it out. So yeah. So now if you see what I could do it out inside this schedulable method, I could call this method directly. And after that, I have my all records and test it directly here. But there is one more way also in not making things complex. In case I want to check this code on the on that particular time only, this thing you can also do. You see these two lines. So in the execute, you just pass null for the testing purpose. I declare just my instance of the scheduler class. So once that is done, I will call this. So now here, if you see, I just created the instance of that class. After that, in the execute, you see, here I am just passing null. This is in case I just want to test that class without scheduling on that particular. So now in case I execute it, I believe I have this one opportunity also here. So it doesn't have any. If we see, hopefully it should run. I've set its close date to today. And the second filter, if I see, is closed, this one is false. So ideally it should create an opportunity. Let us see whether it's supposed to create or not. So now if you see, my code has run. So if I see, it found this record, maybe 2 or 3 it found it out. Now let us see opportunity task is created or not. Yeah, so if you see, this task update opportunity is created. So now 3 things I discussed it out. The first thing was we created a scheduler class for the UI. Having one hour gaps we can have there. Second thing we did it was through the Apex code. I did it out. Where I wanted 10:30, 9:15, something like this. I can do it out. Third way, in case for just for testing purpose, how can test that scheduler class. So is this clear? Anyone having any questions?
One question. So when creating the task, we need to give some mandatory fields. What if we miss those mandatory fields while writing the code?
In that case, for the code, I doubt it won't give you an error. But once you try to execute it, like last time I showed you those errors when we were creating those account records. So what will happen in case I'm using insert only, then it won't allow you that full transaction will get rolled back.
Yes. Yeah, that's what
Yeah. So in case I'm using database.insert, that for partial one, it will allow you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this clear? Scheduler. Same way, in case I wanted to schedule the batch, what I could do it out is assume I had this batch. We created one batch class now last week. Let me check what was the name. Yeah, this update contact address. In case I create this one, in case I want to schedule it, no rocket science, I need to do it out. I just need to go into my code. If you see schedulable code, this is how I can schedule the batch also directly. So from the scheduler class, how can I schedule a batch? Inside this scheduler, I will call this batch, and I just need to schedule this scheduler class. That's it. So scheduling of batch class through scheduler class, is it clear? This one also. Any doubt on this?
Manu, could you please explain that last ID, batch ID?
This is just going whenever you are executing the batch. So what is the ID of the record you are getting out? This ID generally is used to check how many number of records has been processed, all of those things. Through the cron job, you can check it out, as well as this job ID, you can find it here also.
What is 10, that argument? 10?
Yeah, this one I explained in last session, if you remember. This one is my batch size.
Okay, sorry. I think
this one is my batch size. Assume I have 60,000 records. So for this, how many batches will execute? 6,000 batches will execute. And each batch will have 10 records. In case I add it here as 200, now in my each batch, 200 records will execute. Now how many batches I will have? 60,000 divided by 200, it comes out 300. And by default, this batch size is 200. Maximum batch size, how much I can have? 2,000. Minimum, how much I can have? I believe 1. But in case you are reducing that batch sizes, then the time of execution increases. This is the disadvantage.
Okay.
Is it clear? Generally, why batch size reduction comes into picture is when sometime in your org you have many process builders, validation rules these have. So what did happen in case assume I had my batch size 300. So now what will happen? It will go into your CPU timeout error. So what is happening in that chunk of batch? It's not able to execute those records in those 300 records. So what in that case I will do? I will reduce my batch size from 300 to 200. So now in a batch it will take 200 records, but my time of execution will increase. In the job which could have been executed in 4 hours, now it will take about 8 to 9
hours. Okay.
Okay. So this is from the scheduler I executed my batch also. So now how many things async we covered out? First one, I started with your future methods. That was just executing small number of records, maybe where I want to make a call out, I want to separate my transactions, or in mixed DML operations that we discussed. Whenever I'm inserting any standard object or a custom object, with that I cannot update or insert my entity objects. So there also we use future methods. So that was future. Now second thing we did, and in case of future, I couldn't use subject record. There I have to I could only use my primitive variables. Primitive variables, what I mean by string, integer, boolean, all of these things I could use. Second part was batch apex, where I want to execute a big transaction, maybe more than 50,000 records. Where I believe maximum limit is 50 million. So maximum 50 million records I need to insert, update all of these things. How can I do it? So this could be done through batches. Third part, we did it out, scheduling my Apex class, batches, all of this. Now one question you will ask me, from the scheduler, can I schedule a future method? Yes, I can schedule. From the scheduler, I can call a future method also. Okay. Now assume in future method, I had one drawback. I couldn't pass that S object record, I couldn't pass it out. So for this, Salesforce, I believe in 2017, it came with queuable context. So what is this queuable context? It will allow your transaction to run in your async as well as in sync mode, it will allow you. On the whole, the gist is that from queuable, what are the biggest advantages? There I can directly pass the S object records. That is one big advantage. Apart from that, since this queuable will work in async mode, from one queuable, I can call my future method also. That is also possible in queuable. I mean, from one future to another future, I couldn't call the future method. That was the biggest disadvantage I had. But in queuable, that is a biggest advantage. I mean, inside the queuable, I can call a future method also. So in case there is some transaction, from one async to another async needs to be called, that can be done to queuable. But in queuable, you have this thing known as, it will do it in the form of an in-queue job that I will explain to you. So if you see now, I have taken this example of queuable. Let me try to first explain you the syntax. So now what I want is all of those accounts whose billing state is Punjab, I need to get those records. So this is what I will do. I will try to get them into list of S objects. Now, if you remember, in case of future lists of account record, this I couldn't use it. That was the biggest disadvantage. In there, in case I needed to get it out, I could need to get it out in the set of the IDs. I need to get it out, and later on, maybe I need to query in my future method. But in case of queuable, I can do it directly. So now here, if you see, I've got my list of account records which are in Punjab. So now what I want in my transaction is all those accounts which have state equal to billing state equal to Punjab, those should have a parent account. In accounts also, you have this parent account hierarchy. You can have on an account, you can have a parent account also. So now what I want is all of those accounts which are having billing state equal to Punjab, those should become child of integration test account. So my integration test account will be my parent. All of these accounts will become child. So here, if you see, this one example, I just took it from your Trailhead only because then it will be easier for you people also to understand. Yeah. So now here, if you see, we have this integration test account. So this is going to be my parent. Now here, if you see, you have this parent account field you also have. So assume we take this opportunity only. I will try to update its state to address to. Okay, this one is opportunity, my mistake. So now here, if you see, now in this billing address, what I will do, I will try to update the state to Punjab. Let me save it. Yeah. Now, this will get me that parent ID record. Now let me open this queuable class for you, how it looks like. Now, if you see here, this is my queuable class. Just like you had your scheduler, it implements your interface queuable. Now, here I could pass my list of account, list of ID. Now, list of account is those accounts whose billing state is equal to Punjab. This one will get my parent ID record, and this one is my constructor. So here now, if you see, I am passing list of account record, list of IDs. Had it been a future method, I could have only been able to pass the ID or the set of IDs. I would not have been able to pass list of account records. So queuable biggest advantage is I can pass my primitive as well as non-primitive data types. I can pass in queuable. That is the biggest advantage you have with queuable. So you can say it's a mixture of your batch as well as your future. Even though it won't have a big limit like batch, but So generally mean these ways also mean in case mean you want to pass S objects, people generally tend to go with QML. Or there mean you have some async processes happening. So once that async is happening, now you want to call some future method. So that can also be done through QML. So now in case here, if you see, same way in public void execute I will pass this QML context. So inside that, what I'm doing, I'm passing the ID of the parent record and I am updating the account. So let me, how this one gets executed. So this is how it's done, system.enqueueJob. So now let me try to call it. In scheduler, you have the system.schedule you have. So in batch, you have the database.execute batch. So similarly, for enqueueJob, you have the system.enqueue. Let us see whether this one got updated with that parent account or not. So currently, if you see this one is parent account is blank. Let me try to open it in another tab. So here you see my parent account has become this integration test. So one of the usages in case in async method, I need to pass my S objects, I can use queueable. That is one. Secondly, in case I need to, from one async, I need to call another async, there I can use queueable. Two. Third one more utility for queueable is here. From sometimes in batch Apex, from the finish method, maybe I need to call some asynchronous process. Now from finish, I cannot call asynchronous process directly. In case I try to do it out, it will give me this error. Too many future calls, 101 error, it will give me out. So in case I have my batch Apex, means something like this, let me open it. This is just little bit higher thing I'm explaining out. This in case in a short, I will try to explain to you out. But in case if you are not able to get it, you can ignore also for the time, as from a beginner point of view. So now assume I have this batch Apex. So assume inside this finish, I needed to call some future method. In case I try to do it out, it will give me too many future calls 101 error. So in case what you can do it out, you can directly call this queueable job, something like this here in your finish. And inside your this, in this two things, sorry, first one also will come. Just for your understanding, I'm trying to explain to you. So assume in my this job, inside this job, you can have your future method in something like this. Yeah, so here, assuming there is some future method is there. I believe there was one future method we used for trigger that day also, that could also be used. Assuming some future method is here. This code is not here. Assume there is one class, async class is here. Inside that you have your future method. Something like this. So assuming there is one class async side. Inside that you have this future method. So now in case I need to call this code from finish method, and I try to call it, assume I don't have this code. So now what will happen in case I try to do it out in the finish method, it will give you this error 101. Mean too many future calls. So in case you want to avoid this error, what you need to do, you need to have this enqueue job you need to have, and inside that you need to call your future method. So now finish itself is your async method. Inside that I'm calling another future async method through queueable. So is mean queueable clear? On the whole, the gist is just two things. As objects, I need to pass it out. Or second thought is mean calling from async method another async method. But in queueable, the jobs will always be queued. In changed, I mean queue change. So that's why you have this word in queue job. In queue here mean you're chaining the job one another. That's it. And similar in case I want to schedule it out in queue job, mean that is mean just in your scheduler class, you just need to pass this syntax. That's it. What was the name of the Apex class? Remind of the owner. So queueable also you can call from scheduler like this. That's it. Just like you have that. That's it. So here, just like every other thing, my class name, in the constructor, I pass my account and the parent IDs and just include that. So is this queueable clear or not? Anyone having any queries? Here, if you see update parent, this is nothing but my class which have this constructor. That's it. Let me just show you the code again. Yeah, so here if you see, I don't know where I closed that schedule. Yeah. Yeah, so now here if you see, this is my queueable class. This is my constructor. After that, this one will be called for my integer. So I'm just scheduling this code just like batch Apex inside this scheduler. And now in case I want to throw it through UI or through code, I could do it. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Apex, I believe we covered about a lot of things we have covered out now. Okay. Now there is an Apex, we have one more thing also. We have something called as wrapper class. So now what I mean by wrapper class, assume I want to display account and their contact records on a Salesforce UI. So how can I do it out? So for this generally we have something called as a wrapper class. So wrapper class is what it's like. It's like in case you need to display the data from different objects which may or may not be related out. So for that we use wrapper class. So wrapper class is generally once used for displaying the data. Second thing, it's used in integrations also. I mean, where I need to write a web service class. So inside that, I can have my major class, and inside that I can have an inner class also. That is true. Apart from this, that is in SOAP integration, I'm saying. Apart from this also, in case I'm having some JSON data and I need to use it in Salesforce. So for that, that JSON data needs to be converted into one Apex class, which is can be a sort of a wrapper class also. So now I will have this one example in where I am displaying the list of account and their child contact records. Let me, this one VF page I have created out. One more thing, today after this wrapper class, we will start with LWC first, because that is the latest concept that is being used in Salesforce, Lightning Web Components. So this Lightning, once that is Lightning Web Components is covered in our session, then we will go to Lightning Components, which was the previous version from Salesforce, and then the oldest one, Visualforce pages. That is mainly used on, say, your Salesforce Classic environment only. So this example that I'm going to show you, wrapper class, this one is on your Visualforce only. So Visualforce pages we will ignore for the time being. So there, I will just try to explain you the main meaning of wrapper class. I can close some of this tabs. So I believe what was the name of my wrapper class that I created. Just a second. Okay, I also don't remember the name. Maybe we can search it. Just a second. Yeah, I believe, yeah, this one, wrapper example. Before explaining the code, I will show you the UI, how it's looking like. So if you see from the code, it will have my account and the contact together. So since I need to call my VF page, I could do it two ways. Either I could create a Visualforce tab, or I could use the Visualforce page directly also. For the time being, Classic. Someone tried working on Salesforce Classic also, or you people are directly working into Lightning only?
Earlier, I worked on Salesforce practiced, but now doing practice entirely on Lightning only.
What is the difference between Classic and Lightning?
Hello?
Any idea? My Salesforce has these two environments.
Easy navigation in Lightning.
Easy navigation. Can you explain me what do you mean by easy navigation?
Easy navigation means if we check this user interface changes, so there is edit, delete, those access we provide under profile. So in classic version, there's a lots of list, but with Lightning version, there is user management configuration.
No, that you can have in Classic also. Let me try to explain you the difference. Lightning experience came from Salesforce in 2015. Before that, Salesforce was using this Classic environment only. So what was the biggest disadvantage they had with Classic was, in case you need to write some code, which wanted to be used in your mobile application, in your tab also, some functionality you won't have. Maybe assume one example. Maybe I just want to create an account. Assume. So in case I need to through Apex code, I needed to do it. So in case I needed to use that same functionality in my tab, in my mobile, and in my desktop. So I needed to write two different set of codes. One for your mobile application tab and the second one for your desktop. So now this Salesforce came in 2015 around the concept of lightning experience. So it's like I'm making the changes at one place only. I code at one place, but that same can be used in your same UI will work in your Lightning as well as in class in Lightning. I mean, will work everywhere. So just one piece of code, it will work everywhere. Plus UI mean this look, all of these fields are much better because it makes more use of JavaScript. That is one of the advantage. And the framework that Salesforce initially used for this, all of this was Aura framework. Now that has been recently replaced in 2019 by Salesforce with Lightning Web Component, which is totally based upon your JavaScript framework. And this Lightning Web Component, this bigger advantage as compared to Aura is, you can make use of 100 of your inbuilt OOTB, out of the box utilities you can make. So this is one of the reasons Salesforce went from Classic to Lightning. And generally, to be very precise with you, Salesforce in 2 to 4 years, it keep on changing its framework. They're so advanced and innovative. So now it's like if someone is as a Salesforce developer or architect, he needs to know all of those frameworks. You need to know Classic, Visual4Ways, he will need to know Lightning component, he needs to know Lightning Web Components, he needs to know. In case any of these frameworks you are not knowing, you can survive maybe for 6 or 1 or 2 years, you can survive, but after that it will become very difficult for you people to go. So one needs to know all of these frameworks. Is it clear? What is the difference between your Lightning experience and your now Salesforce Classic?
Yep.
In Lightning experience, I have two things. Initially, I had Aura framework, but now we have this Lightning Web Component framework. Code at one place, it will work at every day. And UI, if you say look and feels, more JavaScript framework can be used extensively. These are the biggest advantages it has. Okay, so now let me show you that wrapper class. So I have taken 10 accounts and their context record I have taken out. Yeah, so generally VF page is written like this in Apex wrapper VF just for testing purpose. So now here, if you see this United Gas, it has contact ID this, name this, edge this and this. So now in my Apex class, what I'm doing it out, I'm returning my account record, which is your parent, and child records, which are your contact. So in the contact, what I'm returning out ID and name. In the account, I have account name, account ID, phone. So how this data I am querying it out. Let us see. What I will do, I will try to execute from an anonymous source code. Okay, this is my class. Let us see in debug logs what comes. So just I am instantiating this class. So now I will put my debug. Let us see what it is. So now here, if you see, so in my wrapper list, I have this account, its ID, name, billing state, website, phone. After that, I'm having its contact records. So now my second account, name, spelling state, phone. So now let us try to understand this class. So this is how this Apex class looks like. Now what I have done is I have created this class wrapper example. Inside I have this wrapper example. I have this one, my constructor. So if you see, I have created this inner wrapper. Now this inner wrapper, what it will do, it will hold my account and contact. Let me open JS. More easier for me to just. Yeah. Maybe we can try to fix the indentation more. It will be more easier for you people for me to understand this one. So these are the multiple ways I can open this class. So I just want to fix it indentation. So this is also one way one can fix indentation. Yeah. So it will just fix my indentation. Here I did nothing since my code was little bit disorganized. So I just fixed this indentation. This indentation you can fix from your developer console, also from your VS Code also you can fix. In your VS Code also you have this option. From here also you can fix. In case you open this class, Control-Shift-P you do. Here also you can get indent line on it. Apart from this, there are certain utilities also for indentation, but inbuilt also you have indent line and all of this. In case you select it out, you just organize your code. That's it. So let us leave with indentation. Now let me try to copy this. So now here, if you see, this one is my Apex class. I have this one is my constructor. But before adding the values into my constructor, I need to get that data to be saved into my database and then later been shown into my UI. So what has been done, I have this inner wrapper class. If you see. So now if you see, it will contains my account as well as my contact information. So in the account, what I'm doing it out, I am having my account, and it will obviously be a single account and it will have multiple contacts. So as a result, single account object. Now this will store your account name, your website, your phone, all of those things it will store. List of contacts. Now what I mean by list of contacts, account, it will have your multiple child record. So it will be my list of account record. After that, if you see, I have this inner wrapper, which this has been called. So inside this, what I'm doing it out, I am passing my account record and my list of contacts. So this is how the assignment is done. So now, if we see now our code, now if you see what we did in debugs also. Oh, it should be there. Yeah. So here, if you see wrapper example equal to new wrapper example. So what it's doing it out, wrapper constructor is getting called from this line. So once this one get called, it will check. Now my wrapper list here is going to be my inner wrapper class. The time it loads, it will always be null, blank. So once it's null, what it needs to do, I need to initialize it. So once this is being initialized, now what I need to do, I need to get all my account records and their corresponding to each account record, I need to get child records. So how it has been done? Now here it has put limit 10. So now here what has been done, ID name. So I'm getting these details. I'm putting the limit 10. So I'm querying the contact record also. Now there one more thing. In this code, I just took it from the reference from internet. I would not prefer in this one to write it like inside this loop, because in case it's greater than 100 records, this will give you SOCL 101 error. So what you could do, one thing which I want you people to also try. If you remember in the first session, I explained you the concept of subqueries. So here what you can do, here you can write one subquery and to get the child records, I mean something like this. So this will save my one line also. So obviously it will be context. So once you get that, now you can have one more enhanced loop here, which will fetch your record something like this. This is just for your understanding purpose. It will be like this, contact con colon. Now this one will be my, A will be my parent. So A dot your API inside this, like this. And then this part we can do it. Okay, for the time being, then just let us ignore this. Just to make you know how wrapper works, this is the main thing here. So now here, if you see, I get my child records. After that, what I'm doing it out. Here I'm passing the parent account and I'm passing my child. Child is nothing but my list. So once it's done, now here, if you see inside this list, I'm adding my this inner wrapper. Now this inner wrapper, what it contains, account and list of contact records. So once this is being done, then it's being added to this list. That's it. And now in case I go my VF page, in which we will discuss in next sessions. I can search. Okay, it's not taking it. Fine. This one, if you see. This is how it looks like. Now there are two things. Then I want your people advice. I can explain you this VF code also, but we are going to cover this later on. Just for a curiosity, shall I explain to you this one? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So shall I explain this one? Maybe later on. This we will cover many in the later session. If you want, I can just give you an overview for this one also.
Okay.
Okay. So now Visual Force page. So I need to display my data. So how I am going to display it? Inside this, you have always this Apex page controller. Controller generally refers to your class, from which I'm going to get the data. So here in case, this one is my wrapper example, the class that I have. So after that, you in Salesforce, you have this inbuilt tag, page page block table, data table, all of these things you have in Salesforce. So what does it mean by page block table, and what it does mean by data table? So in page block, mean in case you are writing some code, it will inherit the Salesforce styles. Mean if we see this account records, mean that we did it out. So this one is Salesforce look and feel. So in case I had used data table, so in that case, mean I could write my own set of styles. So that is one thing. Apart from this, now if you see in my code, what I did it out, I returned this wrap list. Yeah, so this is being given here. After that, we are equal to account wrap. So I need to put this into a particular variable so that I can access it in my VF pages. So this one is just like in for loop, you have one by one record, same thing has been done. Account wrap, what is the title? Title here, if you see all accounts and related records. Yeah, so somewhere it should be here. Okay, so you have the title and all of these things you have here. So apart from this, you have all of these things. So this one was my title, which I was talking about, section. So generally it's like you have this page block tab you have. Inside that, you will have this child tab, page section and page block table. Now this from page block table, inside this is one, just like the table you have this your rows and column. So same way that same thing is done here in this page block table. And these are the columns. In the columns, here I am having this names which are coming. So these are these values. Similarly, same thing done for context also. So now one account will have multiple contexts. So account wrap.con equals C. So now if you see, this is the same thing. Now here I'm getting the ID and the name, and I'm displaying that. Is this clear? Anyone having any question? Now I'm thinking maybe we can start with the VF. We will continue Lightning Web Component. Maybe we can go later. So already started with VF. Maybe we can continue in the next session with the VF only. Is it clear? I mean this thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, since what I can do, I can change this code also for you. Then better understanding how it's been written. In case, how would I have wanted to write this code? Let me show you. Now this one I will comment. I will keep this one. I will comment down. Just to show you mean how I would have written this code. So where how I would have written this code. Now here what I will do. So this is how I would have written this code. You see, inside this, the biggest advantage is inside for loop, I won't have my second select query. Because governor limits, if you have more than 100 records, you will get 101 error. In case now if you see this code, this is my list of contact. I initialize it, child contact. How I am wrapping over it, I have this account. Contacts, always relationship fields when you need to use it. You know, this one I explained to you, man, how this context plural is coming. Or you want me to show you again? Tell me please. Hello?
Oh, got it, Manu. It's
Yeah?
clear.
Yeah. So now, a.context, after that, child.add, what I'm here doing is I'm adding this cont. And other than this, all this thing is. So this is mean how I would write this code. And inside one for and another for, it's only to be used in case you have this parent to child relationships you have. In case there is no relationship between two objects, I would never prefer to have one for and another for. In that case, you go for maps. Okay. Since these were related objects, mean account was my parent, contact was my child. This was the reason I went to this. Okay. So now what I want is next time what you people can do it out. Maybe I did this thing between account and contact. So I want someone to try between account and opportunities. Same thing is there. So next time if someone gets I would be happy with someone try this thing. Account opportunities and maybe contacts. 3 things. So I want those 3 things in my wrapper class. How I will do it out. Will someone try out if possible? Okay. So now what I will do, I will try to make this VF page a tab. How can I do it? Let us do it. Okay, so here you have this option tabs. You have different types of tabs here. This one is custom object tabs. These are nothing. This I believe Animesh covered in the admin sessions how an object needs to be displayed into tabs. So that everyone is aware, correct? Tab creation.
Yes, Manu.
Yes.
Yeah. Now this thing I could have done from Lightning also. Just in case there is some project, there could be someone wanted to do it from classes. That's what I'm showing it here. So now here you have web tab, visual force tab, lightning component tab, lightning page tabs. This one is for, if I remember, for app builder. So this one we will go once we go into LW. So here, just click on view. Now it will ask me the name of the VF page. So there you see our name, wrapper VF. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, yes, Manu.
So name it wrapper account contact. Tab style this is very common. Okay, sorry, I need to select. For the time being, I will put it here. You see? Now, okay, if I click on it, this is how it looks like. The first thing that I did last time in this one, for just for testing purpose. Whenever testing purpose, you write it like this. Generally how it works. I believe there is one more way also. From developer console also you can do it out. I don't remember exactly, but let us try it. Yeah, there in pages you have. Yes, you open this one. Yeah, there you have this preview. In case you open it. So preview. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now one more thing. VS Code also we can extract the pages. So let us just try it once. I believe there you have this tab. You will get to know about refreshing also. Where is my manifest? Okay. So one thing I want you people, if you see here also, in case I let us try it whether it works or not. Okay. In the meantime, we had maybe someone can stop the recording and we can take the questions. In the next session, what I will do, we will try to cover now, since we started with already Visual Force pages. So in the next sessions, we will try to cover the type of controllers we have in Visual Force pages, standard controller, custom controller extension, that we will try to do. Record set, where we can also try there one thing. Once that is done, then we can go into this Lightning Web components, which will be after VF. I can show you how it will look like. If I remember, someone was asking me the buttons, how it works on Salesforce. You see this update account button I have. This is Lightning Web component. So here, if I'm updating something, this is it. So how all this is happening? You see, this one is updated. So a lot of things to explore here. Once VF is finished, in LWC we will cover this one, how this is coming. After that, what is happening here, how this is happening. So this one, how this is happening. So a lot of things to do. So anyone having any questions? Anything apart from Salesforce coding? I believe test classes are also left, so that we can also cover in the coming sessions.
Manu, what is Ajax? AJAX.
Okay, this one is used to be an old concept from Salesforce. It was mainly in your VF pages only. Assume I have this full page. Okay.
Okay.
Assume this one is in Classic. So now what I want is, whenever I am entering some value here.
Actually, we cannot see your screen.
Oh, sorry. Is it now visible? Hello?
Yeah, now we can.
Now if you see, I have this something. Assume this one is not in Lightning, it's in Classic. Okay. Write something like this. So whatever am I happening in one field, that is getting reflected in another one. Okay?
Okay.
So that is what your Ajax is about. One thing you do that impacts your other component in a single page. So that is for what you have your Ajax support in Salesforce. Okay. So generally
So
this
is
Ajax,
it,
if I remember, is on your button that's there. It's on your text fields, it's there. Checkbox, it's there. So these are generally fields they
okay, okay. So it's just for the better visibility kind of thing.
have. Visible, not functionality. Yeah. Assume I have this field. Now here am I entering data one field. Now assume there are two fields. One is input field. Assume number fields are there. In one field I
Okay.
am entering one, and another I am entering true. And I have the third field where I want to show the sum. So whenever
Okay.
I am entering the value in the first and the second field, I want the value in the third field to be displayed out. So in that case, your Ajax will come into picture. Once the value in first two fields is entered, then with the help of Ajax support, I can show the value in the third.
Okay. Got it.
And
Thank you.
in this also apart from Ajax there are mainly apart means just three things mainly in VF are used. One is your action function name. The second one is your this action support, which is mainly for your Ajax support, and the third one is your action folder. So now what is the difference between these three things? So in case I click on some button, before that button does some operation in my Salesforce, I want some JavaScript logic to be executed. Assume you change account details. Okay. So
Okay.
before updating that account, maybe I want to check with the user. Some warning message. Are you sure you want to submit this record? So there is OK and cancel. One alert box will come before my data get updated. So in case I click on OK, then my backend logic will work. Where my this controller class method will get called. But in case I click on cancel, it won't allow me to save the record. So I have this JavaScript screen. So in case from my Apex, I want to call some JS script, I can make use of this Apex function. That is Apex function for you. Now comes your action support that I already explained to you. That two field addition, then you want to show their sum.
Okay.
And the third one is your action polar. Action polar is nothing but assume I have maybe an account object. There assume I need to get stock trading side used. So where the stock prices get updated frequently. So when frequently you order a component to be refreshed out. In that case, I will use this Ajax support. This action polar. Okay. This is generally a very common question when they ask in interviews also. What is the difference in the action function, action support, and action polar?
Okay.
Maybe one example I can try it out. Whether I'm just check it out, I'm able to figure it out or not. So, one example I had contact SF1. Let us check. Hopefully, I remember the username. Anyone in any other questions? Hopefully, when I remember the password of this. Okay, the spelling is wrong. Just. Anyone, any question? Until that time, just for you.
Manu, can we put any schedule batch up on hold purposely?
On hold. What do you mean by on hold?
Suppose one batch job already scheduled, and for some reason there is urgent fix required. I am deploying something to production. Till then, I want to put that batch of hold. And
Yeah, you can't put it hold, but what one thing you can do, you can delete that job. And maybe then once your logic happens, then maybe you can reschedule that job with a new time.
Okay.
Okay, this one is logging. Here I had one example. Hopefully I remember it. what I have done is, from one org, my org1, I had displayed the context into org2 using both your VF page and Lightning components. Let us check whether I'm able to find out. It was contact SF1 something. Yes. This is another one VF example. So here what I have done is, I click on this button, get contacts. It's getting me the contact from my Salesforce one org. So now all of this is coming from my another org. Yes. Let me open it for you. And same thing, I believe I have done it for Lightning also. I'll show you Lightning components also. This we will come just for demo purpose, and I'm just showing you. Yeah. Yeah. You see the two environment difference. Are you able to get it? Yes. This one is in classic. Okay. Now, yeah, this one is Lightning. This is the first one that I showed it out. It's in Salesforce Classic using Visualforce. This one, which I showed it out, is in Lightning components. And all of these contacts which are coming, these are coming from where is the other one? I logged it out. Did anyone remember me where I logged into that org? Was it in Chrome or okay? This one.
The same tab.
Now you see, this is the same URL. The same one if you see. Now here these contacts will be present. Yeah. So this we will also discuss how this VF page is made and what has been done. Okay. That's it from my side. Any other questions? So next, we will continue with the VF pages, LWC, and then maybe if we get time, we can start with the test classes also. And test classes, if possible, maybe that trailhead where this triggers is there. So if possible, try it from your side also once.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So shall we wrap up now? Any questions in today's session? So just a revision. What we did today, we did schedulers. So for scheduler also we did scheduling of normal min schedule job, batches, future methods, scheduling, and in queue jobs. Three things we covered. After that, in queue jobs also, queuable also, we covered how to why it's important list of S objects. That is one thing. Future method I can also call there. That too we covered, and calling the queuable from finish method also. So that's also we covered. Calling from one async to another if I want. That is two. After that, we covered the wrapper classes also. In the wrapper classes, we did this account contact example. Now I want you people to try with the account contact and opportunity one example from your side. And we started with the difference between Lightning Experience and Lightning the Salesforce Classic, and how there we started with the VF pages. In the next sessions we will continue first with this Visual Force pages. So once that is done, then we will go into Lightning Web Components and Lightning Components. Okay.
Manu, one question. So projects, those are in the Classic platform. Migration to Lightning, is it mandatory or optional for them?
This is optional. You can't lose the customer now. In case the customer says, I don't want to spend on Lightning Experience. In that case, Salesforce also cannot do anything. But Classic is already currently if you see there are 100 projects, there will be still 40 maybe 40 customers who are still using Classic. 60 could be in Lightning. So what I mean by 60 could be in Lightning is 30 could be new customers and 30 could be those customers which are migrated. Like my current customer, they started their migration to Lightning, I believe in 2018 end they started out. Once about they were finished their migration, that was just got finished in Lightning Component. Then came Lightning Web Component.
And those customers don't want to opt Lightning, Salesforce is going to support them?
Currently, Salesforce has to support, but down the line it could be possible. Salesforce is pushing the customers to go into Lightning. Like the same thing you have with the SAP HANA also. So I believe they have this 2024. So there they want all the customers to come into HANA. So otherwise they will stop providing the support.
Yeah.
So same thing in Salesforce they will also come in sometime. That is for sure.